show on the nooffseason.com Sports Card Network. Be sure to check out hoopsandcards.com for exciting conversations about the NBA basketball for sports card collectors and investors. And remember, there is no off season.
What's going on, everybody? Paul Hickey here with nooffseason.com. You are consuming the Sports Card Strategy Show, brought to you by Graybo's Sports Cards. Graybo's Sports Cards is a local hobby shop owned by Gray Burnett, Ryan Fitz, and Duke Denny One-Time Dodson, and is located in the Arts District in Richmond, Virginia. Graybo's sports the best selection of raw and graded singles in the Mid-Atlantic and a wide variety of wax. Graybo's breaks on Whatnot and or Drip 5 nights a week. Listeners of Sports Card Strategy can receive a 10% discount from Graybo's on Drip, Whatnot, or their website at graybos.co by entering the code STRATEGY2023. You can follow all of Graybo's news and updates on Instagram at Graybos_cards. Don't forget to go premium at nooffseason.com. Get your free 30-day trial today to help you build your sports card investment portfolio. We have just launched Sports Card School at nooffseason.com. Check it out at sportscardschool.com. All of the data we use on the Sports Card Strategy Show is from Market Movers. Get a free 14-day trial followed by 20% off for life by using the promo code NOOFFSEASON at marketmoversapp.com today. And now, it's time for the strategy that you've all been waiting for. Here are your hosts, Paul Hickey, Kendall, the Lefty McKee, and Dr. Crack, Chad Guell. Take it away, guys. Take it away, we will. What's going on, everybody?
Good morning.
Paul Hickey with nooffseason.com. I've got my guys Connor, Lefty, Chad, and Andy Cason from FootballCardQuest joining the show. We're going to talk football cards to sell prior to the 2024 NFL playoffs today, among other things. Good to have Andy on the show. We are live on youtube.com/Paul Hickey. We're also live on IG at Sports Card Strategy, and we're live on X at No Off Season Cards. So welcome to everybody watching and listening live. Also a shout out to everyone listening on the podcast apps as well. Join our Discord by going to sportscardstrategy.com and click the Discord invite link. Also, don't forget to drop a comment below and let us know what you think of the show. Guys, hope you all had happy holidays. Let's go around the horn real quick and welcome in AC, Andy Cason from FootballCardQuest. How you doing, man?
Hey, good morning, guys. It's been a fantastic Christmas holiday season. Tons of football action to get to. I mean, fantasy football playoffs are this week. I'm excited to talk about that. I'm excited to talk about the playoffs upcoming for the NFL. And then you got free agency in the draft. I mean, it's super exciting times right now. A lot of cards being sold.
Before we welcome in our live chat with some live chat love, Lefty McKee, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I think watching football over Christmas wasn't something we did when we were younger. It was strictly NBA, and then the Thanksgiving was the football holiday. And I just watched football most of the Christmas day. It was on in the background, which was pretty fun. Shout out to Katie McKee for letting me have that on. But at the same time, I saw that there was like 28 million people tuning into NFL games over Christmas. And then there was like 3 for the NBA games. And so pretty marketable experience for the NFL. It's pretty cool.
Love it. Dr. Crack, Chad Guell, how was your holidays?
Holidays were great. I agree with Lefty. Watching football on Christmas Day was kind of fun. However, I was in first place in all of my fantasy leagues, and I got my butt whooped in all of them this week. My teams, all 3 of my teams laid an absolute egg, and now I'm in the consolation game, so that was a bummer.
I am vying for the number 1 overall pick in my dynasty league because the bottom 2 teams play in our one-on-one playoff for the last 2 weeks, and the total points winner of the bottom 2 teams get the number 1 overall pick. So I'm vying for Marvin Harrison Jr. right now.
That was a really, really good way of saying that your team's bad.
Yeah, exactly. We had a horrible season, and we started tanking for Marv after about week 6, and we established our goal of being in the bottom 2 at that point. But then you can't continue to tank. You have to win in the last 2 weeks before week 18. So week 16 and 17. But I am down by 5 points going into the final week 17. I need to outscore the worst team in the league by more than 5 so I can win Marvin Harrison Jr. But Connor, how you doing, man?
Fantastic. Spent a lot of time with the family, had a nice reset. Since we're doing a quick fantasy update, I'm having one of the most historic runs I've ever seen in fantasy football right now. I shipped away my first round pick, but I do have Christian McCaffrey, CD Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, AJ Brown, and Chris Olave. So I've got a serious receiving core, and I'm excited to go ahead and whoop up next week and get that cash.
All right, we hope you get that cash. We hope you get.
Who are you playing against?
Yeah, how do we get into your league?
It's been GM of the year. I've made some crazy moves that have left the league in shambles. That's for sure.
Let us know in the comments at youtube.com/Paul Hickey how your fantasy football team is doing this year. Good, bad, ugly. If you're like Connor and you're dominating, or you're like me and you're just absolutely crap in the bed. Let us know. And then go over to FootballCardQuest.com and YouTube.com/FootballCardQuest. Check out Andy's content, because he's got a lot of great fantasy football content throughout the year to help you win your league. So let's give a little live chat love here. Alexander Ortiz in the house made a nice suggestion before the show started about who we can talk to maybe on 7 Minutes of Strategy. So we appreciate that. Chad Guell commenting and hosting. Love that. One Galaxy Germ. Good to see you. Shane Graham, Mark Drzinski, Ron Blankenship, Randy Ferguson, Justin Stewart, Joel Kaplan in the house, my DM friend on IG. I see you. Barry Siff, good morning to you as well. And Jerry Wise. We're going to continue to shout out the live chat as we go through the show today. And of course, don't forget to drop your L's and your dubs in the live chat. And then we're going to review them as we get into ours. But before I get into my L of the week, guys, just a few housekeeping notes that I want to let everybody know about. Sports Card School at nooffseason.com. You got to go check out Sports Card School. You are going to learn how to make money flipping cards. But more importantly than that, if you're new to the hobby, or if you're re-entering the hobby after a hiatus of however many years collecting, we need you to learn the lessons that we learned from us and not learn them the hard way. So Sports Card School, you can get in sportscardschool.com. You can now buy individual lessons if you don't want to join the website, but you can join the website at nooffseason.com, get your free 30-day trial, take all the lessons in Sports Card School. Let me know what you think. Or you can buy the individual lessons right now at nooffseason.com or sportscardschool.com. So go check that out. Again, we want you to learn from our mistakes and what we've learned over the last several years trying to make money flipping sports cards and navigating the hobby. And we don't want you to learn them the hard way. So check that out. Also, I'm very excited about what I'm about to say. So I want everyone who's interested in this to email me at paul@nooffseason.com. But we are launching, starting in January 2024, which is next week, our new one-on-one strategist service. This is our new one-on-one strategist service offering. There's going to be 5 slots available starting January 2024. Be one of the first 5 to get our new offering. Email me at paul@nooffseason.com, ASAP for details. New strategist service offering at nooffseason.com. 5 slots. Be one of the 5. Be one of the 5. Email me now at paul@nooffseason.com for details, and I'll email you right back, tell you what's up with that. All right. I'm going to get into my L of the week, guys, but first I'm going to clear my throat by hitting the mute button. All right, little Jim Rome pause there for everyone. Okay. I got a few L's here, guys. I just have to sort of sometimes fact check our team here. And as much as I love Dr. Crack Chad Guell, I apologize in advance. This is going to be all about some bones to pick with Chad here. Because listening to his deep dive with Connor on 1220. Now, first of all, let me say, I have said, I'm on the record saying that like this is some of the best sports card content I've ever heard in my life. So Dr. Crack and Connor are killing it on these Wednesday deep dives. So first of all, props to Dr. Crack. But out of respect to our audience, which is, I care way more about our audience than I do about Chad, right? So let's just set the record straight there. Our audience is number one. Chad falls in line somewhere behind them. So this is for you guys. Okay, first of all, Chad said something along the lines of some stance I've made about not being able to make money on PSA 9s and that I'm some kind of lunatic for selling all of my PSA 9s early and all this stuff. I think he might have been associating me a little too closely with Lefty there.
Yeah, that's me.
I don't know
sure.
that I necessarily ever came out and said something about PSA 9s. Okay, so Chad, I am listening to the deep dive, so I did want to call you out on that one. Now, here's number two where I'm calling out Chad. L of the week here. Chad mentioned something about De'Aaron Fox's cards, and basically, I'm paraphrasing, but basically what he said was, if you would have listened to me, Dr. Crack, and bought De'Aaron Fox during the deep dive Wednesday that we were talking about him for like 8 straight hours of De'Aaron Fox talk, and then you would have sold De'Aaron Fox today on 1220, you would have made blah, blah, blah money. And it was like a 14-day period. And I went back and checked market movers, and those dudes' cards are down. Like his 2017 Prism base PSA 10 down 20% during that 14-day period. And his Prism Silver even, completely even. I went so far as to check a ton of different cards in market movers. I couldn't find any De'Aaron Fox cards that were up during that 14-day period of time. So I have no idea what Chad was talking about. Okay. Another thing Chad said in that show was about SGA's cards. SGA, specifically SGA 2018 Optic Hollow PSA 10, he said was down and he got one for $95. I checked market movers. That card's up 120% in PSA 10. So Chad, I don't know if you're looking at different cards than you're speaking about, if you're misspeaking, I don't know what's going on, but $245 sale on that card on Christmas, starting price $112. I know this was a week ago when you talked about it, but I mean, I don't see, so you got that card for $95. Who are you buying your cards from, brother? That's amazing. All right. Last thing I want to
Chase Crim
on Chad one more time. Yeah, maybe Chase has a bigger discount for Chad than he does for us, Lefty. All right. One more thing. Now, this is me being really picky. So the first three things, though, I think I was pretty much spot on. This fourth thing where I'm picking on Chad, he said something about, now this is where I don't like blanket statements, Chad. This is where I don't like blanket statements, because I think you said something along the lines of, when you should sell your and now Andy can chime in here too, because Andy's got a lot of data, so Andy can clarify this. But he said, when you sell your football cards of the players who are in the Super Bowl right after the conference championship games, you're going to make more money than when you wait to sell them at the Super Bowl. Now, that could be true, but one of our audience members actually emailed me this, and that's why I'm bringing it up, not just because I love picking on Chad, but one of our audience members emailed me this and found a Patrick Mahomes 2017 NT Colossal rookie patch auto out of 99 PSA 10 that sold on January 19th, 2023 for $9,600. Now they found the same card that sold on February 12th, 2023 for $11,400. $400. Now, the significance of these dates is literally the opposite of what Chad told everybody to do a week ago, because February 12th, 2023 is the date of last year's Super Bowl. So Chad's in the window shaking his head. That's fine. He's going to defend himself. We know that he's definitely going to defend himself. But Andy, on that last point, what do you see from a data pattern standpoint on that note? Because I do think that's important as we approach the NFL playoffs, and that's going to kind of be the theme of today's show. Cards to sell maybe before the NFL playoffs start, cards to maybe wait to sell during the NFL playoffs, and the strategy there. What's the typical pattern you see for the players that make the Super Bowl? Do you sell them right after those conference championship games, or do you wait until closer to the Super Bowl, or even list auctions to end during the game?
Well, as much as I'd like to gang up with you and beat up on Chad over here, I actually have to side with him. I think that Patrick Mahomes example is a very small sample size. Plus, it's a very rare card, right? That's not just readily available floating around. So you never know. Someone sees that Mahomes card, he's in the Super Bowl. I got to get it. I don't care what I have to pay for it, to get that. And that's where you can see some pretty significant price spikes. But from my research, generally speaking, with guys that have readily available cards, you are going to see your best prices heading into the Super Bowl. It's gonna increase into the Super Bowl, and then after the Super Bowl, everybody's like, okay, football season is officially over. And yeah, it doesn't just drop, but it does flatline. It could matriculate down a little bit depending on how many different cards a player has and what is kind of that sweet spot for the market. When you look at skill position guys like wide receivers, a lot of people gravitate towards rookie autos and serial number rookie autos or case hits because they're more in line with their budget. But when you start talking about quarterbacks and stuff, then that market sweet spot kind of changes because of the price point of those cards. They're all of a sudden their Prism Silvers go from being $50 for a PSA 10 of a decent running back or something, to being $500 for that quarterback that you're chasing. So, all of a sudden you're targeting a different part of their market, so to speak. But yeah, generally speaking, you do see the best prices heading into the Super Bowl. And then afterwards, they kind of flatline or matriculate down until you get, but to your point, you never know when it's like a super rare card, flawless, national treasures, immaculate, where, of a super hot player like Mahomes, that somebody's just got to have it and they'll pay. You never know when you could see that spike like that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Andy. Actually, I think Chad's actually right on the money, and so are you when it comes to your analysis of when to sell those cards in general. I did think it was funny, though, that one of our respected audience members who asked that he remain anonymous emailed me that and just wanted me to call Chad.
It wasn't me, Chad.
It wasn't Lefty. I can confirm it was not Lefty.
Can I throw a little thought into this?
Lefty, it's your L of the week time. Throw some thought into this first, and then go ahead and take it away for your L, man.
Well, you've done PWCC before. When you sell on PWCC, what is the percentage it takes? I know it's about 13 to 15, and actually it's more than that for this high of a sale on eBay. Do you know what the percentage is off the top of your head?
So I've purchased in PWCC weekly auctions, and you do have to pay a buyer's premium. I think it's
the buyer's premium is like 20%, apparently, according to Google. I didn't know as a seller what they take.
I don't know what they take as a seller. I've never sold on the PWCC marketplace.
Here's my larger point. If this person sold it, and it does look like the exact same card that they sold a month later, they, assuming that it's 13%, the same as eBay, they've lost $1,482 in the 14% to PWCC, which brings it down to $10,000. And then after taxes, after that, they lost money on this sale.
If it's the same exact card where they flipped it, that's an interesting point. Like it does look in these photos that Lefty and I are looking at in our show notes, it does look like it's the exact same card. So it could be someone who bought it and then flipped it a month later, and they may have lost money. That's interesting. That's a whole other point, I think. Then maybe we get into that the quick flips during the NFL playoffs. But
Interesting.
Lefty, what's your L of the week, man?
Well, my L of the week is, well, I just would like to preface by this was a great Christmas season. Happy holidays to all of you listeners. We love having you. Thank you for letting us take Monday off to be with our families. And it was so that my L of the week goes back to Christmas morning. So my wife, Katie, got me a pack of cards without me asking for it this year for the first time ever, which is a big deal, big win. Sounds like big dubs here. But she bought me a pack from an opened jumbo case at Kentucky Roadshow. She reiterated how this is the first time she's ever gone into this. So Jimmy and Kentucky Roadshow, Krim and his collective down in Texas work for Jimmy. One of the best shops in the nation, hands down. We're lucky to have it here in Lexington. She was blown away by their hospitality and help. She went in there. I believe she worked with Trey. She was just like extremely like overwhelmed by how nice it was in there. But it cost her $60 for a jumbo pack. Now, might I add you, there's 12 of those per box, meaning that they're equating that box value, pack value, to $720 a box, which is an absolute a criminy of a box evaluation. But she was sad to see that nothing of value came from my pack on Christmas morning when I opened it up. So the L of the week is that I had to walk through the pain of thrills and spills of wax with my wife on Christmas morning. And I told her that at the Sports Card Strategy Show and No Off Season Network, we recommend you do not buy wax and buying singles because this can happen. It would have worked out in my favor probably had we pull a monster card, because then it would have gotten her even more excited to step in the hobby with me for the first time. And that would have been, we probably would have gone back to the to the card shop the next day. So pretty exciting. It was cool for her to step into it, but an L that we ended up pulling an absolute dud pack. Literally the best card I got was an Atomic Pitcher Speckle. It was just a horrendous pack. In terms of, I listed my another L is I listed some of my raw Connor Bedard Tops Now cards this week. To my explanation here is I'm not recommending that it's a sell. I know we're going to talk about Connor Bedard in some other areas. I just am uncomfortable in the hockey sphere. Like, I just don't know enough about it. And I actually bought these Connor Bedards, and then after I bought them, I was like, why am I doing that? I don't know enough about it. And so I'm learning from these guys on the show as well. But for instance, me watching Connor Bedard, I'm just like, yeah, he's awesome. So I just wanted to get out of that so I could move back into baseball, something I'm a little more comfortable with. And I set them as the first time I ever did this was with a price cap, like what's that word? Basically a reserve. There it is. A reserve price on eBay. I was going to sell them. I wanted to get 15% more than I had in them. It's just raw. And anyway, they didn't sell. So they are back with me. So now I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do now. I'm likely going to send them to SGC so I can have them slabbed, ready for the first week of February, since the All-Star game is February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and Connor Bedard will likely be in the second skills competition on the 2nd, and I want to have my auctions ending on the 2nd. So although it's an L, I'm still holding capital that I know is valuable. Just because I'm ignorant to it doesn't mean that does not have value. So skills competition is where I'm going to be selling Connor Bedard, because he is going to be likely in that skills competition.
I kind of like that. I got an update on my Connor Bedards, but first, saying hello to Greeny Green in the house. We've also got Hoosier Card Guy, Thundering Cards. Welcome to the live chat. Luke Menkel in the house. Good to see everyone again. Happy holidays. Thanks for joining in. Dr. Crack Chad Gill, it is time for you to finally take the stage. What will he do? Will he just talk about his L of the week and keep his head up and ignore what I said? Will he defend himself? Will he take shots at me, defend himself, and do his L of the week? Dr. Crack, take it away.
Well, I'm not going to take shots at anybody, so everybody can put their guns down. I'm not firing at anybody here. I'll start with my L of the week. My L of the week was my Victor Wembanyama first look RPS 1 play that I made. We talked about this on the show prior. I sent 10 of them to SGC. That play was absolutely the bomb for me. I made one of the best plays I've made in a long time was the 10 cards to SGC. I wish I'd have sent them all to SGC, getting them back quick, selling them fast, making money. I paid, as you heard me in previous shows, that was a W of the week. Those 10 cards not only paid for the cards and the submission, they also paid for my PSA submission. So now when I get the 15 back from PSA, I own them for $0. So everything is profit, so it's not as painful. However, the reason it's my L of the week is it is painful. So I sent the 10 to SGC. I got 6 10s and 4 9-5s. And I was shocked because I thought these cards were 8s and 9s. So I was ecstatic. I profited well. I was one of the first to the markets. My strategy worked really well. The reason it's my L is out of the 15 I sent to PSA, to take the old Colts line, they are who we thought they were. The cards are who I thought they were. I ended up with 4 10s, 10 9s, and 1 8. And I emailed Panini, and I have not gotten a response at all. I've emailed them probably 10 times. I've got no responses.
I bet they have you on a restricted list.
Well, I'm thinking Paul's child labor law things are maybe afraid to talk to me now, knowing I associate with Paul Ramsey. But anyways, so that's my L of the week. I just got them back. I got them back on the 23rd, so I've got them listed. I'm trying to sell them now. They seem to have slowed. A lot of the Wemby cards are slowing down a little bit as the newer cards coming out. The new shiny object, the older ones are slowing down a little bit. So I'm going to make money because I own them all for free, but I'm listing them on 7-day auctions. And whatever they sell for at this point. It's all profit. But I was disappointed that SGC, I get a 60% 10 rate, and I get a 26% 10 rate at PSA. So that's just a little bit of an L for me.
Yeah. My Wemby's at PSA, quick update, got horrible grades. I was able to actually sell them all on eBay in 10-day auctions and break even. That could have been my L of the week this week, because I like to say that we don't want you to break even. We want you to win. But I'd rather rip on Chad in my L of the week. So I decided to do that. And it was actually Dennis Green was the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals when he said they are who we thought they were.
I thought that was the Irsay from the Colts. Well, he was the one that said playoffs, right? Wasn't he the one that playoffs?
That was Jim Mora.
That's right. All right, I'm getting all my coaches mixed up. But anyway,
again, we gotta fact check Chad.
That was
which card? Which card was this? Wemby, guys, was it number 5 or number 19, or was it
the RPS first look?
RPS number 1 first look.
Let's go over to Andy for
hang on. I'm not done. I'm not done,
Okay.
Paul. I have my soapbox now. I did my L of the week. Now I'm going to do my.
Let's go. Like I said, let's go over to Andy for his L of the week. Sorry, Chad. Go ahead.
My blanket statement wasn't a blanket statement. If you listen, what I said was cards tend to. Players that go into the Super Bowl, cards tend to sell more for more between the championship game and the Super Bowl than at the Super Bowl. So I love all of our listeners. I appreciate somebody trying to call me out with this Mahomes card, but that's a really bad example. As Andy mentioned, A, because it's really rare, and B, because it doesn't prove the point wrong. And what I mean by that is the sales are 3 weeks apart. The first sale isn't between the championship game and the Super Bowl, and the second one's not after. That card didn't sell. There's not enough of that card selling to either validate or not validate. If one would have sold the week prior, that $11,000 sale or $12,000, whatever it was, might have been $13,000 or whatever. there wasn't enough of that sales to either argue for or against the statement of which I made. So I appreciate the listeners trying to call us out and hold us accountable, and that's awesome. I just think that's a poor example trying to poke holes in my statement. As far as the De'Aaron Fox comment, I stand by that. And here's the thing.
With what data? You said you could have made money. Notes, you said you could have made. If you would have bought the card today, or 2 weeks ago, and then sold it today, you would have made money.
You would have, because if you look at the chart that I put in my notes, and I don't know how to pull that up, but on November 12th, the card was selling for $202. On the day I made the statement, the De'Aaron Fox Silver Prism.
Okay.
On the day that I made the statement, the card sold for $274. On December 14th, the day of the deep dive show, the card sold for $350. You'd have made a $75 a profit. Now, if you go back out and you look far enough, is the card down? Sure. It depends upon the dates that you're selecting on the card. So the point I want to make is, when you're looking at data, okay, and whether I'm writing articles for No Off Season or whether I'm doing research for my data dives, I just want to point out, when you select a 30-day range, and this SGA card is a perfect example. The SGA card, if you pull up the SGA market movers, the card that I bought for $95.50 will show on market movers that was on 12/9/23. I purchased that card. I've got the card in hand, $95.50. And I made the comment on the deep dive that card was already on the way back up, and I made a great snipe on that card. The next sale didn't take place until the 20th of December. And the show that we did, I think, was on like the 17th or 18th or something like that. So the most recent comp at the time of the show was still my comp of $95.50, which means my statement of the card being down was accurate and correct. Now, the sale that happened on Christmas Day makes the card back up again. So it depends upon what date range you're pulling up on these charts. You can make, if you look far enough on it, you can pick 2 points on a chart, and you can make a chart go up or down based on those data. So when I did the research for those cards, I did it the week of December 14th. And during that week, the cards that you're talking about either hadn't gone down or gone up at that point. So when I made the comments that I made, they were accurate comments at that time. Have they changed since then? Absolutely. And you can use the data that you pulled up in your charts with today's data that are going to show it and make it look like the statements I made that were wrong. But if you look in my show notes and you use the data, the screenshots that I clipped for my research, the statements I made were accurate. So it's all about the timing of the charts.
Chad, I get that. I did the same thing you did. So we found different things. I'm not looking at today's stuff and comparing it to when you said it. I was looking at when you said it, that date, when you said you could have bought that card on that date. I get what you're saying.
Those were accurate.
We're saying the same things about this. We're saying different things about the same data points in time. And what I'm thinking is, look, you're saying you made money. The audience called you out. I called you out. No one's doubting that you made money, though. So I'm glad you made money, and I'm glad that I don't doubt that we're seeing different things, because you're right that you can manipulate these charts and you can see different things. And I see what you're saying. Like I think, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that, like, the audience is seeing different things based on the statements that you made, and so am I. So we just had to have a conversation about it. And Justin Stewart in the comments here says that we're a healthy family for debating this stuff. I'm glad that I'm glad that we're able to debate this stuff. And just, I think that you make a good point though, Chad. I think that the audience needs to know that when you do look at data, this kind of stuff can happen. And I think that's the big takeaway from this. And just so you know, I'm not doubting that you can make money in this time period. I just, as a listener to that particular episode, I remember immediately going, oh my gosh, I got to check this because I don't know if that's true or not on that particular De'Aaron Fox card. On the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I mean, everything you said makes sense to me. So we're going to move it along. I think it's good stuff. And let us know. Please drop a comment below at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. If you love Chad more or if you love me more. We really want to know that. Okay.
Or me.
Well, we all know Lefty's number one. Lefty's number one.
Andy
Connor's
Cason's number one. Andy Cason's number one.
I'm number 5. Chad's number 4.
I'm voting for Andy.
All right. Speaking of Andy Cason, Jim Mora said playoffs. Can't even win a game. Playoffs. Andy, talk about the upcoming NFL playoffs. And what are you looking at for the playoffs, man? Like what's your sports card strategy heading into the NFL playoffs? And do you have an L and W of the week to share with us this week?
Okay. Yeah. I appreciate that. And appreciate that as well, Chad. My L, I don't really have an L of the week. My L of the week is going to be related to best ball and underdog fantasy. I was in the semifinals for the $3 million first place prize in Best Ball Mania 4, and I was eliminated this past week. I got destroyed by someone who had Amari Cooper on their roster who just went nuclear with Joe Flacco, but he'll be talked about in the W's. I'm sure Lefty's chomping at the bits for that one. So I was going to give a general NFL L of the week. It's got to be Patrick Mahomes right now in the Kansas City Chiefs. I know everybody who's invested in Patrick Mahomes is kind of panicking right now, but I think this is just, kind of week 16 antics, if you will, but he has finished as a QB 15 or worse for the 5th time in the past 6 weeks. And so I know a lot of people are panicking right now over the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think it's more antics versus, really being panicked about his career and maybe even the playoff trajectory. This actually opens up a nice buying window for the Chiefs. And then I would say the same thing for Cooper Kupp. Puka Nacua outscored him dramatically again this week. And Cooper Kupp had a couple drops where even some people were like, oh, it's, he dropped it on purpose, which is ludicrous in my opinion. But Cooper Kupp did make a couple drops that is not like him at all. I think that's also week 16 antics, and I wouldn't panic on your Cooper Kupp collection either. I would say, just like in general, those are the biggest L's of the week.
Yeah.
Andy, what do you think of Deontay Johnson staring at that fumble?
Yeah. Yeah, man, this is pretty wild. Some of this stuff you can't make up. I would also say you could pour some out for everybody who impulse buy, which I know nobody on Sports Card Strategy or out in this chat on this live stream did this, but impulse bought into Jake Browning or Tommy DeVito because Tommy DeVito was benched for Tyrod Taylor and Jake Browning threw 3 interceptions. And this just goes back to what I say. Most of these guys that were backup quarterbacks that didn't got a starting opportunity, as the sample size increases, they start regressing more and more back to a mean of what a backup quarterback produces. And that's what you saw this past week with both Jake Browning and Tommy DeVito.
Yeah. Andy, great stuff. I like your window of buying the Chiefs. Anything else you want to talk about related to a W of the week, or do we pass it back over to Dr. Crack Chad Guell for his W?
Well, yeah, you asked me about the playoffs, and so kind of my plan around the playoffs is to target skill position players on teams that could have a big impact. So, I know some guys have had blown up earlier in the season. Like I look at Devon Achane for the Miami Dolphins. He's being overshadowed by Raheem Mostert. Plus, whenever he did get these massive opportunities, he did get banged up a couple times. But there's obviously a very high level of output you could get, a high level of upside you could get from a guy like that for the Miami Dolphins, who's a clear playoff team. I also look at the Detroit Lions, and they have a variety of different skill position players, and you can kind of target the guy that has the worst week on a weekly basis, because the beautiful thing about sports cards, you still have all these auctions that end during the week. So that would be where my focus is. And then it would be on the younger guys as well. So I'd be, targeting Jahmyr Gibbs, or if Sam Laporta had the really quiet week like this past week, I would be targeting him in auction this week, because you see these auctions that end during the week, and it's so much based on whatever is hyper relevant, whatever just happened this past week. And so a lot of times you can capitalize on auctions ending, like today at 10:30 a.m. just because some sellers don't understand kind of when it's optimal to end your auctions. And so they just constantly will put them out there, and you can really capitalize on like really good skill position player going into the playoffs.
Love that. So like A-Chain, Laporta, and Gibbs are all rookies. And talk real quick about your set rankings, because at FootballCardQuest.com and Football Card Quest pod and on YouTube, you guys do an amazing job with your set rankings, and they're particularly applicable to rookies, current rookies. And so Don Russ just came out, but you'll rank Don Russ against Mosaic and Panini Black and the other set. So as it relates to A-Chain, Laporta, and Gibbs, just give us a brief overview of your set rankings related to maybe what cards to buy for those guys. And we'll talk more about this in our buys of the week, but maybe just give us a little preview of your set rankings.
Yeah, so I still have the NFLPA Rookie Premier Hollows as a top card, because there's a combination of scarcity and hollow silver prism finish, and it's really rare, and it's technically the first card in their pro uniform. But those are really hard to find now. And if you do find one, like I had wrote up Zay Flowers a couple weeks ago, and I found a PSA, I think it was a PSA 9 or PSA 10 that was like $50, and shared that one with the premium members over there, because it's just such low hanging fruit, so easy, and someone probably already flipped that with the night Zay Flowers had on Monday. But he's another like prime target that I would be looking at for the playoffs. So I still have that one at the top, but then all of a sudden when 2023 Donruss was released, you notice that there's quite a few optic preview inserts in there, and those are fantastic cards. So that all of a sudden jumps up. It's not all the cards from 2023 Donruss, but any of them with the rated rookie logo, any of the downtowns or the case hits, those immediately jump up to the top of my ranking, even above Mosaic. So I've got those right there. And then I've still got sets like Panini Black, Panini Certified is going to be up there in the top, especially the serial numbered color match cards, and virtually all cards from Certified are serial numbered. And so like Devon A-Chain and Puka Nacua are not in that NFL PA Rookie Premier Hollow limited set that was released back in the summer. So you're targeting for Puka, it is the Donruss. That is the top set for him. That is the number one set. It's got him in the practice pro uniform, but it's a good photo. It's great card design, and you can see people paying crazy money every day for Puka's 2023 Donruss. But those are kind of like the top, I would say the top five. And then I have like plates and patches at number 7. I still have Luminance there at number 8 because of the year 1 on-card rookie autos. Out of that, you still see a lot of people buying those. Donruss Elite is still up there. I have it number 9 because of Pen Pals and Turn of the Century autos. Out of those are really popular for these skill position guys. So kind of differs for different players. Like obviously Tommy DeVito's now is his Panini Instant that was just released, and they released the one of him doing the cutlets, and they have different photos. They released like 3 different ones. It's like, even Panini fell victim to the hype and the FOMO.
Yeah. Hopefully none of our listeners bought those Tommy DeVito cards either. We that's definitely not part of our sports card strategy. But Andy, like, there's a lot in there that's phenomenal information. And for those of you who want more on Andy's set rankings, go to footballcardquest.com, part of the nooffseason.com sports card network. But I do want to unpack more of this strategy in Andy's buys of the week segment later. So I got some more questions. So stay tuned for that. But
Hey, Paul,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt you, but real quick, I just want to mention, because it is super important. It's just being added. I got to add it to the spreadsheet of rankings, is 2023 Prism. You know, that the blaster boxes are released. You guys can go to target.com right now and order 2023 Prism football blaster boxes. We had a guy in our live chat yesterday that mentioned that to us. And so we were actually able to purchase some yesterday. So you guys can go online to Target right now. They're out. The checklist has not been released, so I don't know which players are included in 2023 Prism, but obviously that is going to catapult to the top, even ahead of Donruss for me. So for a lot of players, this is going to be the top set of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's going to probably be the top set throughout the year as well, not just currently, but you've got obviously more sets come out after Prism, and I'm sure you're going to continue to update your set rankings as they come out. But I wouldn't be surprised if Prism's always at number one, right, Andy?
Yeah, it's up there, and especially certain cards like the Prism Silver rookie auto. I mean, that's just like a gold standard. And, Prism Silver and Prism Silver rookie auto, those are just gold standard cards that are incredibly liquid, i.e. popular. You can easily buy and sell them at will.
Part of the reason why we always say to wait until I always say 3 to 6 months, although that's conservative Dave Ramsey of sports cards strategy there. But at least several weeks before the prices kind of come down after a new release, especially like Prism and, Donruss, in the sense that once Prism comes out, a lot of those Donruss prices should fall. So sports card strategy buying tactics there for you. Okay. Time to move over to Dr. Crack Chad Guell as he kicks us off with the W of the Week segment. So, Chad, what's your W of the Week? And then we'll go Lefty, myself, and then the audience.
I've got a couple of W's, but after the all the deer and fox talk, I thought I'd share one of my. It was only a $35 net W, but I thought it'd be fun since it seems to be controversial talking about deer and fox. So on November 30th, I bought a De'Aaron Fox Optic Hollow PSA 10 on eBay for $97. I sold it 2 weeks later after I had gotten the card. I sold it on December 16th for $155. So after all the fees, I made $35 for a 2-week play. Normally I keep all my De'Aaron Foxes, but I did that just because I wanted to show people you could make money on De'Aaron Fox. On June 1st, I bought 5 Jabari Smith Jr. Prism Silver cards. If you go back, I think you can hear me talking about that. And those, we weren't talking about flyers at the time, but that was an extreme flyer play. It was a cheap throw a dart with your eyes closed and hope you hit a prospect kind of play. Turned out that it worked out well for me on this one. So I got them all graded at PSA. I got 3 10s and 2 9s. The average purchase price was $12 a piece, so it wasn't a real big investment. $19 to grade them all. I sold the 2 PSA 9s for $16 each, so those were L's. I sold 2 of the 3 PSA 10s for $90 and $95 each. So a $217 net on a $155 investment. So I made about $65. And I got, as you guys know, I'm a collector. So I put the 3rd PSA 10 in the safe for my PC instead of selling it for another $70, $80, $90 profit. That's how I build my collection of sports cards. I take the W's and take one for free and throw it in there. So that's really my biggest W. It wasn't the $50 I made on the other 4 cards. It's the fact that I ended up with a free one for my PC, because that's really why I do what I do.
That is the way to do it, man.
Then I bought a 1975 George Brett SG7 for $172. A couple weeks ago, I got the card and I saw George Brett going up, and I thought, I don't understand why, but I'm going to list this on a 7-day auction, and it sold for $295. So a nice $100 profit for a 2-week hold on a George Brett card. I've got that card in a PSA 7 in my PC, so I didn't mind flipping that card right away. And then, of course, our sell alert on Ja Morant. You heard me talk about, I bought 2 silver Prism Ja Morant PSA 10s, one for $370, one for $390 way back when he hit rock bottom. And then I bought a third one in mid-November for $450. I sold one for $600 over the weekend, taking our advice and selling with the sell alert. I'm taking a little bit of a risk by holding the second one because I think that card's going to continue to climb, and I've already cashed out $600. And then the third one is going in the safe for my PC, which will not be for sale. So those are my W's of the week.
If you're still paying attention and you haven't run over to target.com, courtesy of Andy, to get your Prism Football 2023 blasters, good stuff out of Dr. Crack Chad Guell. And basically what he did there, everyone, is he said middle finger to Paul Hickey and middle finger to audience members who want to remain anonymous, who doubt that he makes money flipping basketball cards. Because look, I called him out on his buying of basketball flyers early on in the basketball season and the whole De'Aaron Fox debate. And look at this, he's making money. But I was with him on the Ja Morant thing. So it's just good to see Dr. Crack crystallizing his profits. Good work. Lefty, what are you thinking? Over to you for your W, man. Are you in the middle of buying your Prism football blasters? Is that unmute your mic?
I unmuted my mic here. Yeah, I did buy some Prism football blasters because they're $29.99 on this Target link that Andy sent out, and they're already $59 on eBay. So I'm just going to hold those and do a typical wax flip. Bowman Draft is the only other wax flip I'm interested in, but I have made success flipping Panini Prism blasters of NFL releases previously. So I thought, why not? I have plenty of money from my wins from this month, so I immediately turned it into 3 boxes from Target. But so good recommendation, Andy. I appreciate it. It looks like it's the only place we can buy retail right now of these Prism blasters. So I'm just going to have the patience to not think about a CJ Stroud silver Prism in there and not rip them, So, but my win of the week comes down to my Christmas Day auctions. I took a risk here and listed many marginal cards in my investment portfolio. I've talked quite a bit about my Wemby play, about how I sent Wemby Panini Instant 50 cards to I sent 50 of them to SGC so that I could flip them for this window of thinking that Wemby was going to be well playing during this Christmas holiday, and then he's had an ankle injury. But I ended up listing them all anyway because I wanted to be first to the market with the SGC Prisms or SGC 10s of these number 19 Panini Instants and number 5s. That's worked out pretty good because on Christmas Day alone, I ended up having 103 individual bids on my cards. So there was definitely people bidding. Christmas Day actually was the most bidding activity that I had ever had on my eBay. Like my phone was literally just pinging like crazy. I had to put it on silent. It was pretty distracting from our Christmas, party. So, so I took a risk here and listed it in a season that we often considered a dark day. And I'm going to talk about a win that I made of potentially sniping an auction of a higher priced card because of this Christmas Day. But I think in that lower than $50 range, everybody has free cash on Christmas. And I think that 100 and lower, people are bidding like crazy, just wanting the players they're watching. Maybe it's inebriation, maybe it's the holiday season, maybe it's all that. But we have data to prove now that the Christmas Day auctions for lower than $100 are what the kids call popping off, Paul Hickey. So, I have to confirm with Connor there since he's the only Gen Z in the group. But I think that was a well-timed auction for me, and they'll finish tomorrow, actually later on tonight. So I'm looking to making a really nice Wemby play here, and looking for about a 1K profit off of this simple SGC play. So it's a strategy that's definitely working, and so I'm probably going to go back to the well again, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I do like to test out guidelines every once in a while, like our guidelines. I like to retest them. We talked about this last week. I'd retest our guidelines and our strategies to push forward into a new market, making sure that our previous strategies are either tested or need to be adjusted for the particular market season that we're in. I think that's smart. I think if we just set it and forget it, that's ignorant. And so as a sports card strategy show, I think as the analysts, we need to continually be testing the waters here to making sure that we put out the best content, which is a lot of what Paul was putting out this morning with the crack evaluation is what I'm going to call it. Is we're just putting out like this is something we are constantly moving into and constantly testing. It's not a set it and forget it type thing. So I like to test those. And this is a holiday where more nationally televised games usually than previous other weeks that I had remembered in the Christmas season. We had 2 Saturday games. We had the Christmas falling on a weekend. I think that benefited from a lot of viewership just in general. We had 2 Saturday football games. We had Christmas Eve NFL slate. We had a bunch of marquee mashups, which I think the NBA actually, for the first time in a long time, did something that I don't like, where they didn't put Wemby on a Christmas Day game. You have the number 1 guy that's literally been talked about all over, and you have him on a 23rd and a 26th. Like, yes, he's injured right now, but you could have scheduled that previously to have a huge market cycle, like be a huge selling marker for us there. So I think that was a miss by the NBA. But in general, this was a huge media weekend that I think when media spikes in viewership, card prices spike in because of that viewership. And so I mentioned earlier about how there was a large discrepancy in NFL versus NBA viewership. I looked up the data, and it's 30 million views for that Chiefs game on Christmas. And then there was 4.3 million views of the NBA games on average on Christmas. So crazy number differences here, but still that's a ton of people tuning in to watch sports on Christmas. Therefore, I think we should relook at if there's a particular drop, which we won't have in the next 5 years on a weekend. This could be a massive thing. Look, just like what we saw Luka destroying the Suns on Christmas night was an absolute win. So that's my win of the week, is just the way that Christmas Day auctions and the Christmas Day media helped the Christmas card cycle going forward. And my 8-year-old cousin, or my 8-year-old nephew, was watching the Fanatics Dude Perfect stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. We literally talked about that. I didn't have to bring it up, and he brought it up. So there it is.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that Fanatics is implementing those marketing efforts by, collaborating with influencers outside the hobby that have some crossover appeal. I mean, who better than Dude Perfect to get that demographic involved in cards? I mean, it's just an amazing marketing tactic. And I think Fanatics is just scratching the surface of what they're going to be doing over the next several years. So let's 10X the hobby, baby. And by 10X the hobby, what we all mean by that is the amount of people in the hobby. Like, we want to 10X the hobby by the amount of people that are in the hobby. That'll be good for all of us. And look, if you think I'm wrong, that's fine. Drop a comment below at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Let's debate it. Let's debate it on the Sports Card Strategy Show. I want to say hello to Buffalo Boone, Chad Dyer in the house, commenting in the live chat. If you can't make it in the live chat, please follow us on Instagram at Sports Card Strategy and DM me, or drop a comment below at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Okay. Barry Siff, I joined you as well. Thank you to Andy for dropping the Target link in the live chat. Lefty gave him a little assist there on the link. I just ordered 3 boxes as well, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with mine. Mine are going to go to premium subscribers at nooffseason.com that renew past their free 30-day trial period as part of the premium pack that you get. So go to nooffseason.com now sign up for the free 30-day trial. If you're in the middle of your free 30-day trial, stay subscribed, baby, because you get those Prism packs from my blasters in your premium pack. Because why, Lefty? You said it, my friend. Ripping wax is not a sports card strategy. So that's what I'm going to do. Jason Mann in the house. I see you. Thanks for commenting in the live chat. Okay. It's time for my win of the week before we go to the audience wins of the week. Looks like the Jets are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, boys. Looks like the Jets
This is
are
true.
mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. That's all I'm going to say about that. And for those of you who are joining the show for the first time, just go back to around August and start listening and watching to the sports card strategy shows, and you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, another win. Don't forget to check out our new show, 7 Minutes of Strategy. Episode 1 with Gary V is available at nooffseason.com and youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Now, upcoming guests in 2024 will include DJ Ski, Jeff Wilson, and likely the founder of On It Athlete. Boys, get excited about this one. Chad and Lefty will know what I'm talking about. I'm going to have the founder of On It Athlete to talk NIL and why we didn't get our Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter cards. We're going to call him out on the Sports Card Strategy Show, just like we call out Dr. Crack Chad Guell. We're going to call out. In fact, I might even let Chad call him out. How great would that be? All right. So
he's going to get out of this literal sun ray beam that he's sitting in right now.
Check out 7 Minutes of Strategy. Again, coming up in 2024, DJ Ski, Jeff Wilson, and possibly the founder of On It Athlete. We'll talk some NIL with him. Okay. Also, we are now partnered with Sports Illustrated's new collectibles division. We have written articles, collectibles.si.com/author/Paul-Hickey. That's a mouthful. If you'd rather just follow me on Instagram at Sports Card Strategy, that'll be better. You'll see the post there, and you can check out the articles that I am writing for Sports Illustrated. If you're looking for content for your hobby business, email me at paul@nooffseason.com and we can talk business. Okay. Some sports card related wins of the week real quick. My PSA submissions, you can, for those of you watching, you can see the nice FedEx boxes back here. I haven't opened up the FedEx packages, but I know the grades and the cards are in hand. And so one of these submissions had 21 total items. 20 out of the 21 are Gem Mint PSA 10s. Only one is a 9. These include my 20 Connor Bedard 2023 Tops Now stickers, sticker number 15. Feeling like I was right about that play. Thank you to those of you who tipped me off on that in the audience. Already up on my eBay, already getting bids, already going to profit. The PSA 10s are selling for more than the SGC 10s, so I went PSA all the way on that one. I should be about, $23 to $24 into each card. Those are all selling for around 70. So it should be a decent overall profit there. I'll report back on it later in a future win of the week. The other card in that submission was a Bronny James 2023 Topps Chrome McDonald's All-American 68 refractor. So I got a PSA 10 on that. And then got another submission back, 20 total items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 10s in that one. Among those 10s were another, some more Bronny James and a Travis Hunter 2023 Bowman U Chrome Auto. He's someone I'm buying and, hoping that the 2025 NFL draft comes to fruition for him as a top 5 pick. Real quick, Lefty, you and I made the Bronny Topps Chrome All-American play. So give you an update on that. Altogether, 3 PSA 10s, 3 PSA 9s, 1 PSA 8. Pretty pumped about the grades considering I bought them off of eBay raw. It's hard to tell the condition on eBay when you do that. The cards that I have now in the PSA slabs are selling for between $90 and $200 each, and I'm about $40 to $70 into each card. So not every one will be a massive profit, but overall, the Bronny James play should work out. So hopefully all of you who followed Lefty and I on the Bronny James play and all of us on the Connor Bedard sticker going to PSA, hopefully you're doing as well as I am. So that's my W of the week. Connor, let's pass it over to you to walk us through our audience, L's and dubs of the week, man.
Yeah, we got a ton of stuff today, so let's hop right into it. Starting off with W's of the year, actually. Shane Graham, W of the year for me was buying a single pack of 2022 Topps Update from Target for $3.49, pulling a Julio Rodriguez, an Ichiro super short print, and selling it 3 days later for $900. Wow. Massive W from Shane. Another W of the year for him was stocking up on Cam Thomas and selling it during that historic 5-day run earlier this year for over $700 in profit. Love the Cam Thomas play there, Shane Graham. Obviously, Paul is a big proponent of flipping to make money on Cam Thomas. Mark D, W of the week. Need I say more? Yamamoto, for those of you not paying attention to the baseball world, he signed alongside Shohei Ohtani with the Los Angeles Dodgers. We did send out a sell alert for Yamamoto. So if you're not signed up for our sell alerts, text sports cards to 1-833-992-5727. So if you're busy during the holidays with your family and you miss signings like this, make sure you got those alerts on so we can keep you guys up to date so you can maximize those profits. Up next, Ron Blankenship, W of the week. Success with PSA. They've been grading a lot of his cards as 10s. Plus, they've been beating their own deadlines with turnaround times. Up next, Justin Stewart, L of the week, losing out in his bracket by 4 points. W was making it to the semifinals, given I had no clue about American football last year. Justin, that is pretty solid for 2 years into learning about American football. Good work there. Up next, who's your card guy? W of the week. Wife got me a mega box of Don Russ football for Christmas. And another W, picked up a raw 1985 Topps Hulk Hogan yellow background for $9. Looks great. It will be sending it off for grading. Me and Chad actually just talked about some Hulk Hogan prints, I believe, on the last deep dive. Up next, we got Barry Siff, W of the week. Bought an amazing LeBron auto patch, 2013-14, exquisite out of 15 at our local card show Christmas auction. L, thought I bought a Luka Silver Prism, 2018 PSA 10, and it turned out to be just a Prism base, not a Prism Silver. Up next, Greeny Green. Up next, One Galaxy Germ. L, eBay buyer leaves negative/neutral feedback without contacting seller first. Seller status matters, and although we strive to be perfect, mistakes happen, but good sellers will try to make it good. He also said his W of the week was following our advice on auction timing for listing Ja Morant, a stained glass to end and start at the start of his return game. Profitable outcome. Love that you made money there. One Galaxy Germ. One more W from Barry Siff. Picked up 2 1986 Michael Jordan Fleer sticker PSA 8s for under $1,000 per. Per Paul's quick hit video recommendation. Luke Mankel, W of the week. And I'm sorry if I keep pronouncing that wrong, Luke. Keep correcting me in the live chat if I am. Want to make sure I'm getting that correct for you. Digging through dollar boxes at local card show and finding a photogenic, unforgettable LeBron James, Cam Thomas, Prism Silver, in multiple color, Emmanuel Quickly, and Tyrese Maxey's. Jerry Wise, W of the week, selling all of my PSA 10 Bedard stickers after the Michigan goal against my Blues. Matt Lane, W of the week, 20 card Bowman submission to SGC, 16 of 20, coming back at a 9, 5, or 10. Good work there, Matt. And I think that's going to do it for our W's and L's of the week. Good jobs, people. As you're listening to the show, make sure to drop your questions in the live chat, and during the audience Q&A, we'll get to as many as we possibly can for you guys. Paul, back to you.
Connor, you're killing it, man. Good work today. Good work, audience, on the L's and dubs. Thanks for submitting them in the live chat. Don't forget, you can get them in on our Discord if you want. If you're listening on the podcast apps, we pay attention to the Discord. So drop them there, sportscardstrategy.com. Click the link to join the Discord. Adrian Charlie in the chat. Luke Menchel, I think. I always say Menkel too, though, but he just corrected us. Menchel, I think, is it. So good work, Connor. All right, so I'm going to jump into my buys of the week. So I try to break these down into safe and risky. And Connor and Chad have done a great job on the Wednesday deep dives. Connor and Lefty have also done a great job on their Wednesday deep dives. And it has been mentioned, I believe, by our very own Connor Barnett several times that he likes Darius Garland. And he's said that Darius Garland's selling marker, I'm paraphrasing, because other people have said this too, that Darius Garland's selling marker could be, I guess, A, when he comes back from injury now, but also B, if and when Donovan Mitchell moves on to another team, likely the New York Knicks. And so what I started doing is I started thinking, well, if Donovan Mitchell is going to be moving on to the Knicks, maybe this trade deadline, maybe as early as the 2025 NBA offseason as a free agent, although he doesn't really become an unrestricted until the 2026 offseason. But there's a player option, I believe, that could come into effect where he could become an unrestricted free agent in 2025, but then he could also be traded this year. I started thinking, well, if we're going to talk about Garland related to that marker, why don't we talk about Mitchell related to that marker? So I went ahead and looked at his 2017 Prism 117 silver PSA 10. It is down 41% over the last 365 days with a $138 price change built in there. It's down 20% over the last 60 days. It is up as you toggle the dates down to 30, 14, and 7 days, but it's not up that much. And again, it's still down 41% over the last 365 days. So there's a lot of profit now built into that. It sold for $200 on Christmas Day. So I think this Donovan Mitchell 2017 Prism Silver PSA 10 is a safe buy, because we say don't buy unless there's a selling marker in mind. I think this move out of Cleveland, likely to the New York Knicks at some point as early as the next few months, as late as the next couple of years. We know I don't want to wait 2 years, but probably a selling marker built in here with Donovan Mitchell. So always a little bit of risk, but I think that is actually a pretty safe one. So you can check out nooffseason.com later this week for links to buy that card, as well as these other cards that we're about to talk about here. Justin Herbert 2020 Prism Silver number 325 PSA 10. No secret that I like this one, guys. It's down 57% over the last 365 days. It sold for $870 on 12/20. Now, this is not the easiest card to find, but if you can find it and set a bid amount at around the latest sale price, you should have built-in profit here. Anxious to see what Andy and the other guys say about this one, but I think the selling marker is early September 2024 upon the hype rise of the NFL season. So quick note on both of these cards though, guys, and we talk a lot about Prism Silvers. We've had a lot of questions related to this, like how do you tell if it's a silver or not? And I think I just want to pause real quick here and give a little hobby tip. So there's two ways to tell whether it's a silver, and you do have to be careful of this because you do have a lot of people unintentionally and sometimes unfortunately intentionally listing these incorrectly on eBay and other marketplaces, where they will put the word silver in the title when it's not a silver. And so on all of these cards, both of these that I just talked about, and anytime we say Prism Silver, make sure not to buy it unless it's graded by a grading company. PSA, on PSA's label, on the front of their label, it says Silver Prism below the name. Okay, so if the title of the listing says Silver Prism and it's in a PSA slab, but the label doesn't say Silver Prism under the name, it's not a Silver Prism. Ignore that card, fade that card. The other way to tell is not all grading companies have Silver Prism on their label, but all Silver Prisms say Prism on the back. Now, I know it's kind of weird. Like, why wouldn't all Prism cards say Prism on the back? But not all of them do. They say Prism in the fine print underneath everything at the bottom of the card. It's going to say the brand of the card. But Silver Prisms actually say the word Prism on the back of the card in larger font. So we elaborate more on that at Sports Card School, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, now to my riskier buys. Again, our team does a great job breaking down sports card information. A lot of times I will take that and I'll go, I wonder if there's a play here. So in last Sports Card Strategy show where we broke down Bowman Draft 2023, Lefty brought up an amazing point about Dylan Cruz not having cards in that, not only that release, but likely not having cards in any future Bowman release, right? So if in fact that is true, and it's been reported that that's the case, so we have no reason to believe that it's not true, I'm going to throw something out there, a little risky, go where they ain't. So Connor dropped this nugget on the deep dive before Christmas, but I want to reiterate. So Dylan Cruz right now, in my mind, is a player that is the right player because to Lefty's analysis, he should be called up this year, 2024, this upcoming baseball season, or he might make the club out of spring training. And he's the profile of a player that we like as a sports card investment. Now, I always say the right card for the right player at the right time. So the question is, if he doesn't have Bowman cards, does he have a card that is the right card? I believe that his Kaboom out of Stars and Stripes could be the right card because if in fact he's not in any Topps releases coming up, that means that he's not going to have any licensed cards other than the Stars and Stripes where he does have the SSP super short print Kaboom. So this could be the right card for the right player at the right time to flip Cruz upon a call up if you want to do so. So if you can get this card raw under $300, you can also potentially get it in PSA 10 or PSA graded for under $600, $700. I think it could be a risky buy to buy the 2023 Panini Stars and Stripes because it is a licensed card for the USA national team, and buy the Kaboom, flip it when he gets called up. There will be links to that Kaboom card at nooffseason.com. And then another one I want to give Connor a little shout out on is he brought up Jordan Poole Silver Prism PSA 10 on the deep dive, down 79% over the last 365 days. It sold for $46. This is a Prism Silver PSA 10 of Jordan Poole, sold for $46 on 12/18. That's $172 less than it sold for a year ago, and $150 less than it sold for when, Chad? During the first week of the NBA season. So Jordan Poole, that could be a buy right now. And then just buying at the right time. Might not be the right player, TBD on that, but the right card at the right time for sure on a Jordan Poole. That's why it's under my risky. Now, shout out to Andy Cason as well. I'm going to steal this one from him. Drake London rookie ticket auto. Andy on the Football Card Quest last week talked about why he really likes Drake London, why he really likes Kyle Pitts. He believes that the Falcons will upgrade at the quarterback position this offseason. I agree. Sell marker, I believe, for the Drake London rookie ticket auto would be the August hype rise after Atlanta upgrades its QB position. So those are my buys. I like them. Lefty, over to you. What do you think, man? And who are you buying?
Well, I'll speak to the Dylan Cruz specifically. One thing I think that is I agree with most of what you've said, especially with if that's the player you're wanting to hang a hat on. This is the card, at least currently, until the autos come out. This will be the card that is his premier card, like the top of the line. The one thing I just wanted to put a marker on is I don't think he'll make the team out of spring training, and I think he'll probably won't make the team until 2025 unless he just destroys early in this year. I think they're going to be very patient with him, just like they've been with Wood. They don't have anybody in that farm system. They're not ready to compete now. They can afford to be patient with him. So, and so I'm not expecting him to get called up in March. He could fight his way up there, especially with how good he is. But the Nationals can afford to be patient with him is all I'm saying. In my sells are for me, they're cards that I have been, my buys have been cards that I have been looking for. As I've stated many times this month, I have had to be patient with my buys because there hasn't been cards that have been listed on auctions for the cards that I want to acquire, which makes sense to me because other people are smart out here and they're trying to acquire the same cards I'm trying to acquire for the prices that I'm trying to acquire them at. For example, we talked a lot about the Halliburton Prism Silver that is going out. And I said early on, I was like in the 350 to 400 range. We were like, this card is something that's going to go up this year. And I was like, I want to buy in around $400. Then that price skyrocketed to $500, last sold $1,211. And then if you look at the as recently as yesterday, and I checked this morning when our podcast started, that is the last sale of this card was at 12/11 at $4.99. So I was able to go on, and what I've been doing for the last month is going on and finding auctions of these cards and setting my reserve auction price. So I'm just going on, and I'm not messing around. I'm not saying $5 for this, $500 card. I go in and I put my bid amount for my top dollar, and for my top dollar a card amount, I am able to reserve that. And if the bid goes higher than that, then I let it walk away into the ocean of no profit sphere, And so, but on Christmas morning, a auction ended where of a Halliburton silver that I had a cap of $400 price point at. I ended up couldn't believe my eyes. It was a Christmas miracle. I got out of here at $382.03 as the highest bidder for this Prism Silver PSA 10 Halliburton card that's already been shipped to the authenticator. No issues with the seller or anything like that. That is $118 less than the previous last sale. So I absolutely got a massive win here for me, a massive buy. If he's also returning back to that profit amount, if he's returning back to that amount of data for the actual Prism Silver, then we need to be smashing this buy, because Halliburton will still be an all-star starter. He will still likely be at some sort of an Eastern Conference run. The Pacers have taken a step back since the play-in tournament. They have not been playing as well since after being defeated by LeBron. But, that's understandable, and it's understandable that they were building towards that. And I think this young team will be building in the forward or in the latter part of the NBA season as they push to the playoffs. I think Halliburton is still a big buy. In terms of the right card here, I think that's what it is for me for Halliburton. The pop count is only 245 on PSA 10s, and there have been 15 sales in the last 90 days on Market Movers. Now, hang with me here. We don't talk about this normally, but that's a 16% sale rate of Gem Mint 10s and the biggest run that he's had in his professional career. So there's 245 PSA 10s, and 15 of them have been sold in the last 90 days. So 16 have actually hit the open market, or 16% have actually hit the open market of people saying, I want to get out now on Halliburton. So follow me here. That means that there's 84% of the market still holding onto their cards, looking to see a future sale rise. Whether they're collectors or investors, they are holding in that market, saying that now is not the time to sell Halliburton. I think that is good and healthy for an investment card, knowing that 84% of buyers are still holding in the future. That's not a panic sale. That's not this is all we've seen from Halliburton. That's not, we saw 80% of his cards move during the in-season tournament. That is a healthy buy base of a lot of people that are expecting this player to move forward. Therefore, I believe that he is a safe buy when 84% of the market is still holding his cards for a future sale date.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. I love that. It's reminiscent of a Jackson Holiday, Ellie De La Cruz type hold, where you go to card shows or whatever, and you're asking all the dealers, do you have any Jackson Holiday? Do you have any Jackson Churio? Ellie De La Cruz, Ellie De La Cruz last year, right? And they're like, no, well, yeah, but you got to pay, and Chad said this too. It's like, yeah, I do, but you got to pay like
$900 for this $400 card.
Yeah, it's interesting that your analysis sort of yields that Halliburton is that's happening with him. So I think you've put a lot of time into the Halliburton analysis over the last couple of months. Kudos to you on getting it at that price that you were going to get it for. And I think that's a great sports card strategy. So Mark D, one of our loyal listeners and audience members, asked us on the Overflow show for premium members last week. He said, how do you guys feel about just setting a max bid and just being okay with losing the auction? I love it. And that's what Lefty's doing. Like, I love it. I do that. I probably lose 95% of the auctions that I bid on because of that, Yeah. And, there's also the sniping strategy. I think like Andy and Chad are both really good at sniping eBay auctions, but I think they're probably doing the same thing. I think they're probably only sniping at their top price that they would pay for it anyway. Like, it's not like they're trying to win the card at all costs. It's like they're only trying to win the card if it's going to come in at the price that they want to get it for. But I'm with you though, Lefty. It's kind of like, why not just, if you want to cast a wide net, why not just go ahead and set your top bid for the same card across a bunch of different listings for that card and just catch the one at the price that you want, or not catch it at all? Because at the end of the day, if you're going to overpay, it's going to be an L anyway. Everyone knows you and I only care about making money, right? I mean, Chad, he wants the card. Andy probably wants the card a little bit more as well because they're collecting. But I love that strategy, man. All right, I'm going to go ahead and tee up Dr. Crack here for his buys of the week. Chad, talk about the strategy there and who you're buying, man.
Well, first of all, I gotta rank. So we're in the buy category. So for everybody listening and watching, Connor and I are the flyers. Lefty and Paul are the heroes, and Andy Cason is the GOAT on the show here. So because Andy is the GOAT, all of my buys and sells this week are football related, because I wanted to get Andy's feedback after I went, and he could tell me how wrong or right I am. So I'm looking for validation from my football GOAT. That's what I'm looking for here. So my safe buy of the week is an expensive card for many of us. For some of us, it may not be much money. But anyways, I'm going with Lamar Jackson, rookie, Prism Silver, PSA 10. I believe that this card is a safe buy. The most recent sale, the card sold on December 18th for $1,680. So $1,680 is not a card that everybody watching can afford to buy, which is why I said it's a little bit of an expensive card. The card is up 2% in the last 30 days, but it's down 16% in the last year. Lamar Jackson is not only having an MVP caliber season this year, to be down 16% from a year ago when he wasn't playing that well just seems like this card has opportunities. Now, why this card and why is it safe? I looked at several factors. First of all, it appears that after Baltimore just absolutely tore apart the 49ers on Monday Night Football, they are in the driver's seat and have a solid chance at securing the number one seed in the AFC and a first round bye. Second of all, when I take a look at some of his more common, less expensive cards and their prices, his base Prism PSA 10 is up 26% in the last 30 days. His Don Russ rated rookie base is up 38% in the last 30 days. His Optic Hollow is up 22% in the last 30 days. But this card's only up 2%. So that tells me that the money is tight right now, which is, of course, why cards are a little bit softer than usual. But there's people out there that have money that are going to be looking to snatch this card up as the Baltimore makes a run into the playoffs. So you'll take a look at this Prism Silver, his Kaboom, his rookie ticket auto. All of the prices are following the same trend. Those are kind of flat to down a little bit to maybe up just a little bit, but all of his inexpensive cards, the cards as Lefty talked about, the under $100 cards or the under $200 cards, those are up significantly in the last 30 days with the play that Lamar is having. So I believe that is an indicator, an early indicator that these bigger dollar cards are about to boom. As they get. So right now I'm buying this card and my sell marker is the AFC Championship game. That's my sell marker. I'm not going to wait and hope he makes the Super Bowl. I am going to leave a little bit of meat on the bone, and I am going to buy this and look to flip it during the week of the AFC Championship game. My risky buy is two quarterbacks, and it's the NFC. So like Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy and the Niners, even though they looked absolutely awful against the Ravens, you got to remember about 6 weeks ago, Purdy had a game where he looked pretty bad too, and then he bounced back just fine the week after. I'm not chasing. I bought a Brock Purdy a few weeks ago, as you heard me on the Deep Dive show. I'm chasing two risky NFC QBs that have the chance of knocking Purdy off. So who is number 2A and 2B in the NFC right now? It's the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm looking at the Dak Prescott Prism Silver PSA 10. That card last sold for $186. That seems really cheap for a silver prism of a starting quarterback the caliber of Dak Prescott. That sold on Christmas Day. It's down 7%, almost 8% in the last 30 days. Jalen Hurts, optic hollow. I'm not going silver on this. I'm going, because it's a riskier play, I'm going kind of in that sweet spot price range, that $200 to $300 price range. So I'm going optic hollow here. $242 this card sold for on Christmas Day again. That's down 15% in the last 30 days. What do we know about price spikes, right? What do we know about them? We know that when a player exceeds his expectation level, that is when we see a huge spike. So I'm going with my riskier plays at two players that right now, it's Purdy's team and it's Purdy's odds to win the NFC. So I'm going to go with two teams that I think have a legitimate shot, if they play well, on knocking Purdy off and exceeding their expectations in a price range that's very hot, in that $250 and under price range. And those are the two risky plays that I'm going after.
Solid, man.
Yeah, Chad and I are looking at the same data. This is right. I can validate that Chad is right. When you look at Dak Prescott, 2016 Prism Silver PSA 10, it is down. It is down in the last 30 days, 10.2%. Last 14 days, 17%. Last 7 days, 10%. It's interesting. I've got a lot to add to this, but it is Andy Cason's time to shine. I'm going to wait till it comes around to me for sells. I'm in lockstep with Chad on a lot of what he said, but I'm going to break it down a little further. But Andy, let's have you do that first. But before you do, I just want to say a quick hello to Josh D and Rusty and McGart in the chat. Okay, Andy, what do you think of Chad's buys, man?
I really like the Lamar Jackson buy because I instantly compare it to Josh Allen, and I see the Josh Allen Prism PSA 10. The last one that sold was in the playoffs this past season for 10 grand. And his because it's a very low pop count. This is a true short print card. But going back to 2018, this is when Prism Silvers were a true short print. So very scarce. And the PSA 9s for Josh Allen right now sell just this past Friday, almost $1,200. So for Chad to get a PSA 10 in that range or below, it's huge, man. And I think that's a fantastic play, especially when you look at the strength of the Baltimore Ravens defense, the team as a whole. I mean, this is a team that could definitely make the run to the Super Bowl right now. And then I like the NFC plays because you're buying in at a discount on Dak after the choke job against the Bills, and you're buying in at a slight discount on Hurts just because he's always had a little bit of disrespect and being pegged as a system quarterback and the tush push guy and this and that. So I like both of those plays. Actually, I like all three of those plays because you leave yourself with a lot of upside on all of them, and quick upside, like playoff upside here in January. So that's going to be fun. For my buys of the week, I like targeting guys in the playoffs like I talked about. I also like targeting guys that are going to be free agents this upcoming season. And then you mentioned the Falcons. They are the one team, when you look at all 32 teams in the NFL, they are the one team that we know for 100% certainty they are going to draft a quarterback or they're going to trade. So you have the Bears with 2 top 10 picks next year. They could trade for Justin Fields, and the Bears could then draft a new quarterback. I think either way you slice it, Justin Fields cards are going to spike around draft time, whether it's because of rumors, whether because he stays on the Bears and the Bears, maybe they draft a Marvin Harrison, or he goes to the Falcons, maybe a situation like that. The Falcons currently have a pick number, I think it's 9. No, that's pick number 10. So when you look at the depth of the quarterback class coming out, you have 4 quarterbacks that are projected to be drafted in the first round right now next year. And, there's a ton of options going to be available for the Falcons at pick number 10. So I just think without a doubt, they're going to upgrade. And without a doubt, that's going to increase the values of Drake London and Kyle Pitts. And you could just buy them exponentially cheaper right now because of how bad just the overall opportunity is for them on the team and the quality of quarterback play for the team. So I love that opportunity. And then I'm just going to give you guys a couple wide receivers that are set to hit the free agency market that I think get a new team. And this is going to be huge. It's going to be tragic for me, but I think Mike Evans may lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's going to be set to hit the free agency market. He's pretty much a lock for the Hall of Fame at this point. And I'm gonna be really upset if he leaves. I would hope they find a way to stay, but they have not found a middle ground in negotiations. The thing is, Chris Godwin's been good. I mean, it's a rebuilding. I mean, we say it's a rebuilding franchise, but Baker's been fantastic this year, and the Bucs are now in the playoffs. And a month ago they were on the verge of firing all kinds of people, Todd Bowles and everybody, and now it's everything's on the up and up, and they're gelling, they're playing good. So I just think that at this point in his career, if he could easily go to a big time team. Like, look at the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs are plagued by drops at the wide receiver position. I mean, they need wide receiver help on that team desperately, and if he goes to a team like that, I mean, it's just, they're already, like, his rookie autos are already at a good premium as a scarce market from 2014. But I think you'll start to see his Topps Chrome PSA 10s, his Prism PSA 10s, which there's 5 different photo parallels, the silvers from that set, those start to go up dramatically from news like that. So I look at a couple guys, and then I also target, what type of opportunities they're going to leave behind. So yesterday I talked about Derrick Henry, and he's set to hit the free agency market this offseason. I think he becomes a nice flip because I don't think he's able to stay on the Titans. He's already mentioned himself, as Carter pointed out yesterday, that he mentioned that Tyjae Spears, the rookie running back behind him, is going to take over that backfield one day. So I think Derrick Henry already knows that he's going to probably leave and hit the open market and sign as a power back for a contender. And maybe like the Cowboys, which I think kind of spikes Henry, but then at the same time, Tyjae Spears goes up. So absolutely love that play, especially, because you kind of look at the Titans and the Falcons as, similar teams. They just have a lot of struggles that you can buy into them exponentially lower right now and just sell down the road. So there's a couple buys that I'm targeting right now this week.
All of those buys have clear sell markers in mind. So I love them. I love them from Dr. Crack. I love them from Andy Cason. Connor and I are going to unpack that further with specific cards to buy at nooffseason.com. So stay tuned at nooffseason.com for the article, Buys of the Week article. We're going to include all of those cards, specific cards from all those players Andy talked about, and the specific cards Dr. Crack talked about, as well as Lefty and I's buys. One thing I wanted to say real quick about the Drake London, the Kyle Pitts, etc. Be sure to either bid in auctions for those cards that already have bids on them, or if you're going to make an offer on a buy it now or best offer card, check comps and make sure that you sort of take the average of the past several comps and don't just check the latest comp. I just don't want you to screw yourself over on guys that have clear sell markers. You still need to make sure you get it for the right price, the fair market price for it. And that's why I typically encourage people to bid in auctions that already have multiple bids on the auction, because then you're already at a point where there's a market for that card and you're going to get the fair market value at that time for that card. But I absolutely love all those plays. I am going to unpack it a little bit further during my sells as well, but AC, anyone you're offloading, like, is there anyone is there anyone clear cut that you're saying sell now? They're at their peak. It's clear as day. Or is that still a little bit cloudy as we still have a couple weeks left in the NFL season here?
No, I don't. I think there's a couple guys. I mean, I know you guys were talking about Joe Flacco a couple weeks ago, and if people took your advice, I mean, they're making a lot of nice profit right now on Joe Flacco. Before Joe Flacco, you had an anemic offense. You had Amari Cooper, who's an incredible talent, David Njoku, who's an incredible talent at tight end. Just like not even in like startable fantasy positions, and now they're top 3 in both of their positional categories since Joe Flacco signed with the Browns. So and Joe Flacco is on an incredible heater right now, including the playoff run with the Browns, and I think you can easily flip him right now. I sold a nice Amari Cooper rookie ticket auto for over a double up on Christmas as a result. I'm also selling Christian McCaffrey right now. I mean, you just get 2017 is an iconic year for rookie cards, football specifically. Those prisms come silver standard out of the box for the rookies, and it's the Patrick Mahomes year, it's the Cooper Kupp year, it's the Christian McCaffrey year. And right now, people are paying almost $100 for Christian McCaffrey's raw base prism card. It is silver, like I mentioned. So they're paying almost $100 for it raw. That is absolutely insane. I'm selling base Donruss rated rookies for Christian McCaffrey for $15 to $20 a piece. These are raw. So, I mean, the price is on him. There's a chance that he could win the MVP award. He's right now in Vegas odds. He is the number 2 top candidate to win the MVP behind Lamar Jackson now. After that Monday night game from Brock Purdy, Purdy has slid all the way down to 4th behind Tua, and at roughly plus 1,000. So yeah, Lamar Jackson's at minus 175 now to win the MVP. So Christian McCaffrey would be a guy I am selling. Also, Josh Allen is another guy I would be selling. I get it, but I still am not a believer that the Bills can actually make a run all the way to the Super Bowl. And I believe that a lot of that, the championship game and all that is built into the prices of Josh Allen, especially when you compare him to Lamar Jackson. So I would be looking to potentially offload some of those big cards of Josh Allen, as he is Superman for the Bills. And I mean, he's going to be in the running here, but I think they fizzle out at the in like towards the deep end of the playoffs again.
Yeah, they can't all get there. And one of the things I liked about Dr. Crack's buys a minute ago is that even though they can't all get there, Crack was talking about buying guys that are down now that are the top quarterbacks. And so they could still rise in value leading up to the 2024 season hype. And so when you talk about a guy like Josh Allen, he's kind of the opposite of that, where he is one of the top quarterbacks, but because he is he isn't down right now, and you do have to offload some guys to get some cash back, and they can't all get there. But I love that breakdown there, Andy. And I just want to say condolences in advance if you do lose Mike Evans. I know you're a Bucs guy. That would suck as a Bucs fan to lose Mike Evans after playing his entire career there in Tampa, but we'll see. Still like the call on the selling marker, but I want to go over to Dr. Crack Chad Gill, because I'm looking at his show notes and there's another guy in there that you might be a little bit disappointed that he has as a sell, but I'll let Dr. Crack take it away and walk us through his sells of the week.
Well, we'll stir the pot here a little bit. And if Mike Evans leaves, who somebody just announced, Paul, that they said they were a really good recruiter, maybe he'll go to that team. So we won't mention his name, though. Do you know who I'm talking about? I think you do.
I think I do. Yeah.
Let's go, Jets.
All right. Anyways, too soon. We're talking about, so we're going to break down our sells in the too soon and perfect timing range. Too soon, Brock Purdy pink and optic hollow PSA 10s. Both are up 79% in the last 30 days. Both have taken a little bit of a hit after Monday. I looked this morning. They're both starting to decline a little bit. I certainly couldn't blame anyone for cashing out on a 79% profit over the last 30 days. However, I think they are still the NFC favorites. So as I mentioned on one of the deep dive shows, I bought one of these cards. My play is to hold this card until the NFC Championship game. I think that the Niners get to the championship game. I don't know whether or not they're going to the Super Bowl or not. I'm not into making those types of predictions, but I do think that the Purdy cards may suffer a little bit until he bounces back. But I do think that he'll have a nice run up going to the NFC Championship game. So I think it's just a hair too soon, but I can't blame you if you want to cash out now. Here's my perfect timing, and where Paul was alluding that I might hurt Andy's feelings a little bit. Baker Mayfield Optic Base PSA 10. The card is up 179% in the last 30 days. Now, this is a cheap card. It's still only a $45 card, but when a card is up 179% in a 30-day period of time, that is the perfect timing to get out of the card, in my opinion. Even if the Bucks make the playoffs and they're playing well right now, I don't see the Bucks making a deep run into the playoffs. So capitalize on a nice profit margin now and sell that card. The other card that I think is a perfect. Did you want to?
I mean, I think Andy's just excited that it's up, right? I mean, I think on one hand, you got to be excited that it's up, right?
Super excited it's up. I did buy a couple months ago. I bought a Baker Mayfield Orange Prism rookie ticket auto for $60. And I could probably make a nice profit on that card right now, maybe sell it for a couple hundred, but I'm like tempted to see, because he's also hitting the free agency market after the season. I think clearly he's shown that he can start anywhere in the league. I mean, he's been solid. So
we'll take him.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
You want him back? You take him back. I know, right?
Hey,
at a fifth of what you guys paid Deshaun Watson.
Hey, Lefty, sorry to cut you off, Andy, but do you think Deborah Roberts has sold any of her Baker Mayfields yet?
I sure hope so. I hope she sold all of her Bakers, and I hope she sold Patrick so that she can come back and buy back into Patrick right now.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Andy, but we had this.
I know you're out here listening.
This listener / subscriber to our website, Deborah Roberts. If you're listening, Deborah, sell your Baker Mayfields if you haven't already. Like we have said, he's been on our sells like all season, and so like,
good for him though. I mean, he's clearly not only us but proving everyone else wrong.
Yeah, I guess, but like, he's proven everyone else wrong. I don't know if he's proven us wrong. I mean, you make money on him at every single point of the season. We said sell, but yeah, I see what you're saying, Lefty. Like, I think on some of these cards, maybe you could have made a little bit more money if you held on. But I mean, for crying out loud, like it's week 17 here, and we're still selling. We're still saying sell Baker Mayfield. I hope to God that you do. And then to Andy's point, maybe you can buy back in if he dips after the Bucks get eliminated from the playoffs. Sorry, Andy. And then maybe hits free agency and you sell him again. That's a sports card strategy right there.
There's a pathway for Baker to make a decent playoff run here. I mean, it's
Andy.
Come on. Oh, let's think about the Browns playoff run that Baker made, and where they smoked the Steelers and then they almost beat the Chiefs. And Baker had just some insane highlights from that game. He's super scratchy. The guy just finds a way to get it done in clutch moments. So I wouldn't count him out. I mean, obviously, I've got some hopeful optimism as a Bucks fan, but at the same time, I'm going to hold to the playoffs. Like I think this is a clear playoff team. We've already beat the Saints once. We host them this weekend. So if we beat them again, or even if we don't beat them, there's still a very clear and fairly easy path for us to make the playoffs, because we have the Panthers in week 18. So, I mean, that's a nice little layup match to get us into the playoffs. So, it's a big matchup this weekend against the Saints. Clearly, they've got a lot of weaknesses and that we can exploit. So I think the Bucks are a clear playoff team, and your best prices on Baker are probably, once it's official, the Bucks are locked in, they start going up at a higher rate.
Gosh, I wish the Browns were in the NFC South.
I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Like, I think that Baker might be Andy's version of Chad's De'Aaron Fox here. I think he might be a little bit too emotionally tied to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You got a Baker jersey behind you? Because I know Chad.
I would sell Baker. I'm with Chad on this. I would, but let us know in the comments below. Would you sell Baker now, or would you risk holding on a little too long and he might just fall flat on his face? He could. I don't know. For Andy's sake, I hope he doesn't. But I don't know.
I'm rooting for him too. Emotionally,
I don't think
I'm
he
all
falls
there
flat
with
on
him.
his face. Yeah, I mean, from watching him all season, I mean, I think it would have happened. There's been plenty of massive opportunity moments, and yeah, he's had his struggles earlier in the season, but man, they've been gelling lately. I think this little heater continues here into the playoffs.
The Dave Ramsey of Sports Cards says sell because injuries happen in the NFL all the time. Injuries happen all the time. But hey, you know what? If you're feeling like you want to ride it out and double down on your Baker, go for it. Let us know what you do. Just want to say hello quickly to Trevor Beagle in the live chat. Good to see you. All right, where are we on the agenda here? I think Lefty's up for his cells, right?
I have one more perfect timing that'll be a little less controversial. I think this one here we can all get behind. It's a 2022 Don Russ Press Proof Premium. They're cool looking cards. They're a little shorter print than the standard base cards. They're not numbered or anything, but they are gold looking. Bailey Zappi. The card is up 142% in the last 30 days. The Patriots, I think, are going to actively be shopping for a starting QB in the offseason. So this is kind of Bailey's second run at stardom. And I think that it's going to come to a crashing end at the end of this year. I don't think Bailey Zappi is the future of the New England Patriots. So therefore, sell now while the cards are up. You get out of the Bailey Zappi sweepstakes while you can make money on it.
Yeah, I think this is all good content because, I mean, the title of today's show is, what are you going to do for the NFL playoffs? Are you selling now? Or are you holding? What cards should you sell before the NFL playoffs? What cards should you try to ride it all the way out to the Super Bowl? I think we're doing a nice job breaking all this down. Let us know what you think in the comments. All right, Lefty, who are you selling?
Well, I'll be pretty brief about this because we've already mentioned him a bit, but my too soon is my too soon question mark for sells is Brock Purdy. We saw a 7th round side Brock Purdy, a 7th round pick Brock Purdy on Christmas night. I mean, he threw 4 interceptions and he wasn't even the best looking 49ers quarterback that played in the game. Oof. I mean, it was tough. They sat him out because of a potential stinger, but he could have come back in the game. And they were like, please, Brock, just don't go and make yourself look any worse. I mean, the Ravens just smacked him. Like the fact that the game was even close at all shows that he has an incredible amount of weapons around him. Darnold looked really, really good when he was zinging balls in there. And I was like, dang, this guy is not a good quarterback. And he still was able to get Deebo Samuel the touches that he needed. But George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, this team's legit. And Brock Purdy is legit, I think. But he just got humbled, for instance, on Sunday. And I don't think that that's abnormal, but I also would be okay if you wanted to hold him because I respect him too. So is this an overreaction? Yes, probably. Would I want to profit on his market from the 70% crystallization right now? Absolutely. My move is, as you know, Lefty McKee, the baseball guy, I am selling Purdy and moving it into baseball cards right now because I'm taking the profit and moving it to other places. Not because I'm disrespecting Brock Purdy, not because he's gone from 1st to 5th in the MVP rankings and Christian McCaffrey jumped him. Might I add, by the way, that Joe Flacco is currently ranked as 13th in the MVP race, which is hilarious. But perfect timing, though. I'll jump to this. Yamamoto was the perfect timing. We have gotten out of him, if you were in our cell alerts, we texted you. He signs with the Dodgers in a perfect reunion with Shohei Ohtani and a massive contract. He's also in Dodger blue. And you, Connor, you know how hyped I get about the situation of Shohei going to the mound on the absolute rant I went on last week about Shohei and Dodger blue. I'm just as excited about Yamamoto. This guy is incredible. He's very, very good. But here it is. It is the perfect time to sell Yamamoto. In fact, at nooffseason.com, we have removed Yamamoto from our rankings because now he is just another good pitcher. He's not somebody worth investing in. This is the only sell marker that we project for him because of the way that he went from having basically he was basically in the minor leagues to now being promoted in the richest contract for a pitcher coming out of free agents or international free agency. That was the sell marker. Do not hold. I got a text the other day about like somebody was mad about they're still holding Indy Rodriguez and he's not valuable. What the heck? The sell marker for him was 2.5 years ago. Don't be messaging me 2.5 years from now saying, well, I held Yamamoto. No, get out now. Get out now and take all the profits that we push this way and put it into an actual player that's not a pitcher. This is something we don't want to do this. I made 2.5x on the Chrome cards of Yamamoto in the last 35 days. I made 2.5x on the Chromes, and I made 5x on my papers of Yamamoto. 5x, Paul. That is awesome. You know, I paid $5.
You called it. You called the Yamamoto. You called the Flacco. You're on fire. I mean,
hey, you said 2024 was the year of the lefty, and we're starting a little early.
It started already. Yeah. You get a head start to your winning 2024. Great job. Lefty bought with a sell marker in mind. He executed it. To his point, this is not a set it and forget it game. This is an everyday grind. Text sports cards to 1-833-992-5727. You got to get in and get out. Great job by Lefty McKee. Everybody sell your Yamamotos. All right, I am going to just kind of reiterate what Chad said about Lamar Jackson, although it's kind of interesting because, you know, Chad pointed out a couple really great buys for Lamar Jackson. They were different cards than what I'm talking about for my sells. My sells, Chad already made the point, but if you look at Lamar Jackson's market and then his lower priced cards, they're all up a ton. His 2018 Optic Blue out of 149 BGS 95 is up $183. It's just insane. And there's tons of examples of this throughout his 2018 cards. So if you're not holding one of the cards Chad mentioned in his buys segment, there's a 99.9% chance that you should probably sell that Lamar Jackson card right now. A couple of the things I want to point out related to some of the cards that we've talked about on this episode. So Andy mentioned Christian McCaffrey 2017 cards. I believe that was one of the years where they only made Prism silvers for the rookies. Somebody needs to fact check me on that. Andy's nodding.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you. I also means that Dak's 2016 rookie Prism is also always a silver. I believe the 2016 and the 2017. So just keep that in mind as you're transacting for those cards. Luka, 50 points on Christmas. I thought this was interesting because his 2018 base. His 2018 Donruss 117 base PSA 10 is a pop 11,124. That is now up 20% over the last 7 days due to his 50-point performance on Christmas Day. I would sell that card. I would borderline sell alert that card only in a vacuum. I'm not saying sell Luka. We try not to do that on this show. We try to say particular cards. So the 2018 Donruss base PSA 10 Luka up 20% over the last 7 days due to sales on Christmas Day because of that performance. Two other guys, Connor Bedard, the Topps Now rookie stickers, just to emphasize the point Lefty made about the Yamamoto play, like get in, get out. The Connor Bedard Topps Now rookie sticker plays was to get in, grade at PSA, sell. That's what I'm doing. They're going to be superseded by Young Guns cards coming out soon. So I would hate to say it this way. Lefty said earlier on in the show, He's waiting till the skills challenge in February. I think that's probably a fine play, but I would definitely get out of your Connor Bedard stickers between now and then. Last one, Bronny James. I'm going to list all of my Topps Chrome McDonald's All-American Bronny James PSA graded cards tomorrow. So that'll be Thursday, December 28th. I am going to list them in the afternoon on 10-day auctions. Why? Because USC plays 4 games in the next 10 days. So 10-day auctions ending. And it's also before Bowman Chrome U basketball comes out. So Bowman Chrome U basketball is scheduled to come out at some point in 2024. His first prospect cards in USC uniforms will be in that release. So those are the cards I am selling. All right, Connor, let's go over to the audience QA. Let's hit those audience questions before we wrap up today's episode. And just a quick reminder, go to nooffseason.com/ask. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at nooffseason.com. If you're a premium member, we love you watching this show and we love you putting your questions in the live chat, but you can get better answers by going to nooffseason.com/ask and taking advantage of your premium membership, where we actually take more time and do more research in giving you those answers on the Overflow show. But for those of you in the live chat now, Connor, let's give them some love. Let's answer their questions. Over to you.
Yeah, let's start off with Thundering Cards. Got a question for Andy. What do you think about 2023 select draft picks? Says I've been pulling nothing but heat. Andy, you want to touch on this real quick?
Nothing but heat. That sounds great. Select draft picks is a decent set, especially when the player doesn't have anything in the pro uniform. But yeah, I'd be trying to flip those immediately before the pro uniform select comes out, and also Prism, as well as Prism starts to circulate onto eBay as singles. I would be listing those and selling them immediately.
Awesome. Great answer there, Andy. Up next, we got a question from Joe Kaplan. We're going to give it to Lefty. My Yamamotos are at PSA and won't be back until spring training. Lefty, why don't we think he will have baseball spring training hype?
Dang, Joel, that's terrible timing. I think you'll probably still make more profit than you have invested in the card, likely because of how hopefully you got in when we started talking about Yamamoto. For instance, I made 5x on a paper card. I mean, that's you're probably still going to have profit there. Plus, a graded card will still have more value than just a typical Chrome, because this is the pop count will help you there. What I would say is, as soon as your grades pop and as soon as your pictures are available, get it online. That's what I would say.
Good stuff.
Paul, what would you say there? I'm just curious.
Yeah, same exact answer. I mean, Joel, I hope that you can still profit. I think you can. Lefty nailed it. I mean, I think at this point you just got to stay the course, list them when the pictures pop, and let us know how you do, man. Let us know how you do. We appreciate all your support, Joel.
Up next, Craig.
Sorry, Connor. The one thing that I would maybe do if you already have good profit in the Yamamoto play in general, is list it 7 days before his potential first start, which would probably be the second or third day of the season. But yeah, tough play, Joel. Sorry about that.
Up next, Creds Cards 11. Good morning, everyone. Anyone having issues with UPS not updating tracking history? Chad, I think you'd probably buy with the highest volume and would have the better sample size to give an answer here. Thoughts on USPS tracking history bugging out a little bit?
I haven't noticed it. I haven't had any issues with anything that I've been buying or selling. So I'm unaware of it.
Yeah, I haven't either, but it's like the Postal Service in general over the holidays has been a little slow.
Thanks, boys. Up next for Paul from Justin Stewart with the Gary V interview. Are you guys buying any non-sports cards to invest in to make money right now?
Justin, great question. The Dave Ramsey of sports cards says absolutely not, because I don't have selling markers for non-sports cards. I don't know when you would sell a non-sports card. I mean, I think to a certain extent you could dig deep on, like, is there a movie coming out with the particular character that hasn't been featured yet, and do they have cards? is there a new season of a show? Like I think the Game of Thrones series, House of the Dragon, that might be coming out in 2024 on HBO Max. So you could try to dig into those, and there are Game of Thrones cards. So I could totally deal in that arena, but I don't because I don't see it as clearly as I see sports cards. So I think Gary Vee brings up good points in that interview. And if you haven't checked it out, definitely go back and listen to it. But it's not for me personally, because I'm not 100% confident that I can make a flip on that for profit. I think what ends up happening to me when I buy non-sports cards is that I get stuck holding it, and then I don't see a selling marker at all in the next several years. So I panic sell it just to get my money back. And so I don't deal in that arena, but I would love insights from others in the nooffseason.com family that maybe have more confidence than I do on non-sports cards. I'll just say the one other time I think Lefty and I dug deep into this was there's a card artist named Kyler Smith, Cuyler Smith. And what they do is they do sports character art cards in a limited edition print run. Those actually sell very well on eBay on the secondary market. And because there's a limited run on their website, Lefty made a play on a Ted Lasso set.
This is just not to bring up. Kyler Smith is the guy to go to if you're going to try to make a play.
Yep. I agree. So I think it's KylerSmith.com. I think it's Cuyler Smith.
Yeah. I have him favorited on my save sells for eBay. And actually my tattoo artist, for those of you that have not seen me in person, I am fairly tatted up. Spoiler alert. But my tattoo artist collects cards as well. And he exclusively invests in Kyler Smith cards. Like that's like his thing. And so he buys the drops and then sells them on eBay and then uses the profit to do what Crack does. And he puts all of the free ones on in his studio, in his tattoo studio. So he has all these Kyler Smith cards that he has for free from investing in them. So there is a play there, just not something that's typically our market, since we are called the Sports Card Strategy Show. And Ted Lasso dipped into that sports cards a little bit, but definitely was a play that is marginal for us.
Up next, Greeny Green. I'm going to ask you this question again, or I'm going to direct this one at you again, Paul, because he asked us, I'm not sure which deep dive it was on, but it was during a deep dive. He asked what thoughts on Juju Watkins. He says, morning, fellas, still buying all the Juju Watkins and Hannah Hidalgo college basketball players, female college basketball players. I thought that Caitlin Clark really was the only player to focus on here, just because she has such an extended hype cycle, in my opinion, and so much more demand than the other two girls. But the other two girls are absolutely hooping. So curious your thoughts on these two.
I mean, props to Greeny Green. That's my main thought, is like, I love Greeny Green doing this. Greeny Green's a successful sports card flipper. I don't have Juju Watkins budget in my sports card investment bankroll right now. So I'm fading Juju. And I'm pretty much fading WNBA currently. But potential future number one overall pick in the WNBA draft as a selling marker. So I like it as a play.
Cool. Good stuff. Up next, back to Lefty real quick from Rusty. Curious if Lefty has any suggestions on where he likes to go for his deeper MLB info on prospects. If you want to touch on that real quick, Lefty, on the best place to find out that extended information.
What the site I use is fangraphs.com. And then I look at their minor league data, and the stats that I follow are WRC plus, K percentage, and age versus which level they're at. A very similar breakdown to this is something that Let's Talk Wax uses. And then I also use justbaseball.com. So the three references I use are my own data first. Like I search my own data first. That's the important part. Like you need to be able to go and find the guys that you like in your own data and then push them against a trusted source here, push them against a trusted source here, and then push your plan together. But we would recommend you not buy anybody that's not on the top 25 rankings of our MLB checklist at nooffseason.com.
Hey, Connor, can I take this one from Luke Menchel? Is Banchero a buy? Okay.
Yes.
Just because I like this one. Lefty's already laughing, so he knows where I'm going with this. All right. So This is fun because today is Wednesday, December 27th. And if you go back 2 months, 60 days, go back 60 days, that would take you to about October 27th, I believe. And I believe we got a question in this very live chat on this very show. Hey, Paul, is Banchero a buy? And I said, no, he's not. No, he's not. And guess what? I was right, because the 2022 Prism Silver PSA 10 that we were looking at in that deep dive later that week is down 34%. It's down 34%. And guess what? Because it's down 34%, yes, my friend Luke Menschel, now he is a buy. Now I like it. Down 33.9%. If you can get that puppy, it sold yesterday for $200, and there are listings for $270. Buy it now. And that still has a $30 profit margin, even if you buy it now. So I'm not saying go buy it now, but I'm saying bid in auctions, try to get it for as close to that 200 mark. There you go. Go get it. Let us know how you do.
Good stuff there. Another baseball question for Lefty from Matt Lane. Thoughts on CJ Abrams? What markers, if any, for this season? High on him due to age and ceiling after season with loads of stolen bases. Thoughts on CJ Abrams, Lefty?
Yeah, he fits a similar profile to that what we were talking about a guy that's been overlooked but still in the MLB. I think there is profit margins to be had on him. The sell markers are not clear as of right now. I think you are going to have sell markers in the future with him, especially when Cruz and Wood come up to the Nationals, and then there's a lot of buzz around the team. But at that point, I don't know whether that's in 5 months. I don't know whether that's in 3 years. So there's just better guys that you could be profiting on right now. CJ Abrams, if you really like him, if you're passionate about it, go make a flag plant on it, but not one I'm recommending right now.
Good stuff, Lefty. Last one, I believe, unless Paul has any additional topics he wants to touch on, is Shane Graham. Paul talked about listing Bronny James cards in the near future. He says, Paul, do you think there's enough time to grade the Bronny James Bowman U Now cards once they get shipped before the Bowman Chrome U cards come out?
I'm so glad you asked this, Shane. A couple of reasons. Shane, I love you. You're super smart. You make great plays all the time. I would not have bought these Bowman U Now cards. However, since you bought them, no, I would not get them graded. I don't think that there's time to get them graded. The unfortunate thing here is that they grade really well. You're probably likely to get all 10s. But here's the thing. Unless you got lucky and got a parallel on those Bowman U next cards, like the Topps Now cards that Shane's talking about, unless you get a parallel, I don't know that you're going to really have a huge ceiling for profit on these. I hope I'm wrong. I could be proven wrong on this. You could send them to PSA. You could get all 10s, and you could list them at a different selling marker for Bronny, maybe the NBA draft in the future. However, the reason I don't think that'll happen is because he'll just have other cards out by then that'll supersede these. So let us know what you do, though. Hopefully I'm wrong and you can make money on these cards, Shane. I'm rooting for you, man.
Can I speak to what I'm doing here?
Yeah, Lefty bought these. So what are you doing?
I bought 20 of them. And so they are down to about $4 a card. And then since they are Bowman cards, they are Bowman University cards, you can use the $9 Bowman 2023 SGC play. So you can grade them at SGC for a quick turnaround for $13 per card. And I think a PSA or a SGC 10 sells at least about $20 or $25. That's what I'm doing based on my Shohei flip. I also got a 10% discount from them for a holiday service, and I am sending them into SGC on a quick turnaround and getting first to the market.
Lefty saved the day there with that SGC quick turnaround. Let us know how that goes. All right, Brian Steeler 714. Thanks for the comment coming in at the last minute here. Everybody, thanks so much for watching the Sports Card Strategy Show today. Andy Cason, thanks for being on, man. Any parting shots from you before we hit the outro?
I appreciate you guys having me on today. Excited for Week 17, the playoffs. So definitely stay tuned. A lot of content coming out. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas to everybody. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you all for watching and listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show. I'm Paul Hickey with nooffseason.com. Don't forget to get your free 30-day trial at nooffseason.com today, and you can get great information to help you build your sports card investment portfolio, as well as take classes at Sports Card School, sportscardschool.com. Don't forget to text Sports Cards to 1-833-992-5727 to get your sell alerts and your buy alerts. Also, we would love it if you leave us a positive review on Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Thanks for being part of the nooffseason.com family. Have a great day.